Let's go.
Welcome to Citizen. We have a very special guest today. Jack Carr, you may know him from everything that's on television now.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
How are you?
Good, good. Living the dream.
Good to see you.
Yeah. You're in Morocco.
I just got to Paris
Oh, nice.
right now, so I got here just in time to get the computer together, throw up some sort of a background that didn't look too horrible,
Yeah.
and in my hotel room. So just made it. But yeah, we're just filming in Morocco. Finished up just the other day, wrapped True Believer, which is the second novel, and man, it's looking good. We were in Marrakesh, Casablanca, and Tangier, and it is looking really good. I would suspect it comes out next summer. I haven't heard anything, but you never know for sure. But I would suspect that it's going to come out next summer.
Sweet. Yeah, it took a year last time from wrap to edit.
Yeah, it's
I
about
think.
what it takes.
Yeah.
Usually, a show like this, where you have to go through so many hours on edits when you move into that post production, and then also figure out the right timing for it to come out. It's not just like as soon as it's done, you just throw it out there. It has to
Yeah.
like with all the other shows that are coming out from that same streaming service. Look at what other streaming services have coming out. What makes sense for your audience, your show, your viewership, all the rest of it. So a lot goes into it, and then the marketing side comes in and figures out the lead up to launch and through launch and all of that, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's looking really good. And then Dark Wolf is out now. That's that one is and number one on Prime Video. People are really liking that. So man, it's been good.
Yeah, there's so many. I'm really glad that this happened because there's so many opportunities for story and world building prequels for stuff like this that just never get made. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is the Denzel version of Man on Fire. The original one was good too, but the Denzel one really hit. And I always wanted to get like a John Kreese prequel where it's him. Like it doesn't really matter what time period you set it in. It could be Vietnam or GWAT or whatever, but it's just him with the agency fucking shit up. That would be so incredible. Like you could run that on HBO for 5 seasons or Amazon or something.
Man, I did. I wouldn't say I pitched it, but I put it in a document. I was asked by a let's say production company to list a thing of remakes that I would like to do or adaptations that I would like to do. So I gave my list, and of course that's on there because you have I might get this, I might be off by one. Let's say 5 Creasy novels. Starts with Man on Fire.
Yeah.
Read them in the 80s and 90s, and that first movie, of course, is Scott Glenn and Joe Pesci
Scott Glenn.
are in that one. The poster for it is what I saw in my local video store. So I don't remember it being in theaters, but I remember that poster and being like, oh man, he has those sunglasses on. It's
Yeah.
like Man on Fire. Like it was legit. And so that's how I found out about the books, is from the movie poster and then getting the movie on VHS, watching that at the time. And in the mid 80s, it was like, oh man, this is amazing. Reading the books, saying these are more amazing than who's this author, and finding out a little bit about AJ Quinnell, who wrote the book. And then Denzel Washington one comes out in like 2000, let's say, what is it, 4 somewhere
I think it
around
was 3 or
the-
4, yeah, somewhere around there.
somewhere
Yeah.
and amazing. Of course, Tony Scott film, love that one. And then we didn't get another.
Yeah.
Not many people know they're one based on a book, or two that there are other books out there with the same character. And so I pitched that to a streaming, or I didn't pitch it. I put it in a list, but it's like a 1-page executive summary for each one of these things, giving my like why, how to do it right, and all of that. And but guess what? It was already spoken for.
Yeah,
So
of
they're
course.
actually doing it. Somebody's doing it. It's probably online. You probably check it out. But they're making it right now. So
Are they
hopefully
really? I didn't know that. So I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I've been-
hopefully it's going to be good. I think they're filming right now, or if they're not filming, they're writing right now. But we should see it in the next couple of years, and hopefully they're doing a good job, because I would love to see this done
wow.
well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that this was even in pre-pro or anything, or writing stage. Yeah, that's great. I love that show, and I do like when you're able to open up the world a little bit. People are always going to gripe a little. So, Eternal List season 1, for those of you who haven't seen it, you must not. If you haven't seen that, you're not watching the show, I think, probably. But if you haven't seen it and you have read the book, obviously you change things, right? Just because the theater of the mind and what's on the screen are different. You have to.
Exactly. There's going to be, when you adapt something, and I knew that going in, I didn't want to be that author who, one, just being invited to be a part of it. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
look, they like to get rid of the author right away because they don't want you on set saying you ruined my vision
Yeah.
and being a pain. And I just remember First Blood, the book, 1972, very different than the Stallone movie, and both awesome though, but both
Mm-hmm.
very different. So I
Right.
knew there was going to be changes. Once again, yeah, you're telling a story through a different medium, and in screenwriting, there are constraints. There are no constraints when I'm writing these books. I can do anything that I want. Screenwriting, okay, yeah, you have a time constraint. Each one has to be about an hour. There's going to be 7 or 8 episodes in the cases of The Terminal List and Dark Wolf. So each one of those episodes has to have an arc, and then there
Mm-hmm.
has to be an overarching arc throughout that whole season. You have budgetary constraints, you have actor availability constraints, you have location constraints, you have notes that go all the way to the top of Amazon and back down on the scripts that you need to address. So there are so many things that that will change
Mm-hmm.
the book, and then you just have to make the best show you possibly can within those constraints and with those guardrails in place. So it's interesting. I like writing the novels because that's just me, and if people hate them, there's no one to blame but myself. Now on the show, it is a gigantic team, and there's a core of us that are making these shows, but it is a huge
Mm-hmm.
team generally, and everyone's bringing their A game for every little aspect of these shows. So it's just a different animal, but hopefully making one now makes me better at the other, and vice versa.
Yeah, there's this group of people that have been working with military stories over the last, let's say, 10 years or so, and they're really serious about getting it right. I hear from them with like some we have some of those people on the show sometimes, not the writers, the actors, and so on, who are like they're like really nervous about getting it right. Like we don't want to fuck this up and make you guys upset with us. We're like, look, just put out a good product, man. Listen, like I tell them, just when you've got a guy on set, listen to him about how to handle the weapon. Take advice on the right kind of verbiage to use and stuff like that. And you're a professional at what you do. Just get the notes from this dude and add them into what you're already doing, and you're going to be fine. But it's very meaningful to me that they go so far out of their way to get this stuff right. Like one of my really good friends is Max Martini. I think at this point in his career, he's probably had more military training than you or I have because he's
Yeah,
been in
yeah.
so many goddamn movies.
Right.
But yeah, he's like serious about it. Like it's every little detail. He and Michael Irby were on the show a couple weeks ago, just talking about all the different military movies, the unit that they did back in the day, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, yeah, it was like we had the guys all around all the time, and it was like at first we were like super anxious and nervous about getting it right, and then it was just like, man, these guys just kind of folded us into their world a little bit, and it just felt like you were there. Um, and at the end of the day, you want to, whether it's the book or the movie, you want to put out a great product, right? I mean, that's the real point of all this.
Yeah, that's for us. No ego involved. It's all about telling the best story we possibly can, making the best show we possibly can for people who are trusting us with time that they're never going to get back. And one of the ways that we do that for, let's say, somebody who's been in law enforcement, a firefighter, military veteran, whatever it might be, is to get some of those details right so they're not drawn away from a completely fictional story because someone like is talking to their buddy, sweeping him with their finger on the trigger type of a thing. Like getting some of that stuff right so that as you're watching this thing as a veteran, you're not like totally taken out of the
Mm,
story and then pointing it out to your wife like look at that, like, look at these idiots, look what they did, and now you're out of the story. So try to get those details right, one, to honor those who actually did it, and then two, to not take that person who did the job, who's trusting us with their time, who cracked that beer at the end of a hard day and is watching this thing, so that they're not drawn out of this fictional story because we jacked something up on the authenticity side. We try to get that the mindset of a modern day warrior right, and then
mm,
try to get the details around gear and tactics right
mm.
as well, but all in service of a completely fictional narrative.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it. So back to the Dark Wolf thing. That is a completely new creation because at the end of the first book, Ben gets domed, right? Even though he's got det cord in close proximity, and he still gets domed. Um, but you left after that. I wouldn't say it was obvious, but everybody started talking as soon as they see the final sailboat scene in season one. They're like, "Oh, Ben's coming back for sure, right?" Like,
Interesting.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it
didn't
was.
I didn't really think that people would think that because I'm so involved in the book side of the
Mm,
house and how that ends. And then Taylor Kitsch just did such a great job
yeah, he's
bringing
awesome.
that character to life,
Mm,
giving him humanity, making an empathetic character out of someone in the book who's fairly one-dimensional.
yeah.
And even in the writers' room, they did such a much better job than I did in the book of making this character more human and more relatable And then Taylor comes in and takes it to a whole nother
Mm,
level with his performance. And that last scene on the sailboat, like, he's super involved in that dialogue, just trying to get it right. Like, for these operators who are going to watch this show, we have to get this right. What would make this guy, who is a brother in arms, do the things that he does, do make the decisions that he does? And so it's me, it's Chris Pratt, it's Taylor Kitsch, it's Antoine Fuqua, it's David DiGilio, the showrunner, Max Adams, Army Ranger,
mm,
writer, and Jared Shaw, my SEAL buddy, who's now a
mm,
writer, actor, executive producer, an actor in this thing, technical advisor too. All of us trying to like figure out how to capture this at the end in a way that's going to be meaningful for an operator who's watching this. And Taylor just, man, exceeded all expectations. So even after that, I didn't think that there was going to be a spin-off on that character.
mm,
I thought there was going to be a spin-off on a different thing that I wrote up, and
mm.
I came right back from the premiere and I wrote up this executive summary, and then Chris calls me and he says, "Hey, what do you think about doing a spin-off on the Ben Edwards character?" And I said, "That's an amazing idea, Chris. Let's do that."
Mm.
Which was not my idea. So shelve mine, go with Chris's. That's the way to do it. And he called
Yeah.
Taylor, and Taylor said, "Yeah, 100%
Mm,
in." And within a couple months, we had gotten together, me, Dave DiGilio, Jared Shaw, Max Adams, and come up with this story. Came up with a storyline, pitched it at the end of October 2022 to Amazon. They wanted to go ahead right away, and so we get that writers' room together and start writing in January. And then the writers' strike happens,
yeah.
and that's like 7 months. And then we're going to film in Israel as soon as that thing's up. Not, we're going to film in the Middle East, but then Israel happens October 7th.
Mm,
And we're like, oh, geez, okay, so we got to make some changes there. So really, that writer strike and an actor strike and what happened in the Middle East pushed us about a year. So really, True Believer should be coming out now, or that should have already come out this summer. And last summer should have been Dark Wolf, but because of all the other things that happened, we got pushed by about a year. So,
mm.
but it's looking good. Hopefully, we'll get another season. We'll find out here shortly, I think, and over the next couple weeks, and start getting another season going on Dark Wolf. The finale. Not sure when this drops, but in a couple days, the finale hits of this first season. And I wrote that with the showrunner David DiGilio. So we'll see what happens from here. But we just wrapped True Believer, like I said, in Morocco, and so yeah, we'll see what's ahead. It's been a sprint for the last couple of years on these
Mm.
shows, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of the Ben thing reminds me of Breaking Bad with Jesse Pinkman. So Jesse, that character was supposed to die off at the end of season one, but Aaron Paul's performance was so good they had to keep him on. Like, you had no choice. Like, the fans wanted it too much, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, that makes for a pretty easy decision when there's a specific character that you can move somewhere else that's super popular. Obviously, you got to do that. And just again, it's kind of the point to make a great product. That's the point. And yeah, I was looking at that. Uh, Yaha Abdul Mateen 2 is the guy who's going to be playing John Creasy and it's Netflix is doing it. I didn't even know this was happening. I'm glad you mentioned that. Um,
Yeah. Does it say
anyways,
when it's coming out? What does it say about it?
no, it just said they started working on it in it looks like August of last year.
Okay.
So they're probably getting ready to start at least pre-production at this point.
Hope
You would
so.
think.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh, I just really want them to get that right to honor that character
Mm,
and the books and the guy who created them, who passed away about 20 years ago now. But man, yeah, that would be incredible to see that brought to the screen in a cool way. So, but it's tough, man. People, I think from the outside looking in, it's so easy to dismiss something because of an error, because of I don't know, something you consider a mistake, or why didn't they do this, or it's you can be so flippant about it. And I was never like that. I always tried to just I try to find the good in anything in life, but that now, having been involved in these productions, I see just how much work goes into these
mm,
things. Even if something is objectively awful, and this is a subjective art form, but let's say something is objectively awful and you see it, still a lot of work went into that thing, and still a lot of people in hair and makeup and the trades and construction and lighting and all of these people who are just working hard gave their all to this thing, to
mm,
their piece of this thing. So to be so flippant about any production or anything that's subjective in nature is I don't know. It's just part of life. It's going to happen.
mm.
You're putting yourself out there, and you put it up there, and you got to walk away. You got to let it speak for itself. And if people hate it, love it, indifferent about it, want to tear it apart, whatever they want to do. You just got to let it happen and move on to the next thing and try to make that the best that you can do because you can get totally consumed,
Mm,
especially now. Let's say
yeah.
in 1885 or 95, you had to search out a review. If you wanted to find a
Yeah.
review of your performance, like you had to watch Siskel and Ebert, or you
Mm,
had to like find an Entertainment Weekly, buy it, flip to the page, like read the thing. It was easier to avoid. And now, if you just want to like make a post about something and you go on there in your social channel, you're going to get fed stuff that tells you how horrible you are,
yeah.
because that's just, how it is. So it's much more difficult to avoid these days, but that's just, you got to accept that going in, that you're going to be out there and you're going to have no shields up and people are going to be throwing, hitting you with slings, with
Mm,
arrows, with spears, and there's nothing that you can do about it except charge forward. It's
yeah.
a weird time to be in the creative space.
It is, yeah, but it's also like there's some stuff that was missing for a while is kind of coming back. These like big male characters are coming back like from the 80s, you know what I mean? And I wonder, we've been going through some weird times in our country, as you may have noticed, in the last like 10 years or so. What do you think about, series and films like yours that are inspiring men to be like to be men again? It's like it might sound silly to some folks, but these larger than life characters are one, they're responsible for a lot of dudes joining the military. Charlie Sheen was on Rogan 2 weeks ago. He's responsible for a lot of you guys. Like it's kind of weird to say that, but there's a lot of Navy SEALs that are that were in the Navy because of Charlie Sheen specifically. But like Rambo and all this other stuff made a lot of dudes. And Rambo wasn't what First Blood wasn't what people thought a typical like operator movie was going to be. It was more about the internal part, and then 2, 3, etc. are more of the like shoot 'em ups. Um, but I think it gives people like it's almost an advertisement for being a dude. You know what I mean? And it gives people kind of an archetype, even though it's larger than life. It gives people kind of an archetype to like this is cool. You could go out and chop some wood and fuck shit up, dude. That's kind of what you're meant to do.
Yeah, I mean, the power of popular culture, we used to have, through the power of popular culture, we used to have essentially mentors built in. And when we're talking movies, we're talking TV shows, we're talking literature, and let's just say 70s, 80s, 90s, before these other distractions got a hold of us and these big tech companies got to be able to influence thoughts and behaviors. Well, guess what? Hollywood was doing that for most of the 20th century. And they were doing that through popular culture,
Mm,
through film, through television. Publishing was doing it through books. Whether they meant to do it or not, I don't know. I don't think so. They were just trying to tell a good story for the most part. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to put people in seats, give them an experience. And the byproduct of that is that, hey, Top Gun comes out and people want to join the Navy and fly fighter jets.
mm,
Rambo comes out, people want to join the Army SF and want to be a Green Beret. Navy SEALs comes out, people find out about that, want to join the SEAL teams, and it was just kind of a byproduct of it. But we had this male-centric, focused entertainment that had a competent protagonist
mm,
that could get things done. Not only was he competent, he was also confident. And
mm,
competence, of course, being more important than confidence. You don't want to do the other way around, which can be the case sometimes. But a competent protagonist who's a protector, who's a sentinel, who's a guardian, who is more often than not drawn back into some sort of service against their will. So you have the reluctant hero, and then you get to see this person develop, and it was just so important for us growing up. Those guys were like mentors. We looked up to Sylvester Stallone as Rambo and as Dutch in Predator and
mm,
in Commando, and Sylvester Stallone in Rambo and Rocky and all these things where you're having these very strong male protagonists solving problems. Sometimes, most of the times, it would end up violent, but also creatively.
mm.
But standing up for what's right, and that had a huge impact on an entire generation of people, many of whom would go on to fight after September 11th. So we actually call it what we're doing right now, and we have from the beginning, throwback entertainment. And Amazon took a huge risk with us because for a while that was lacking in Hollywood, and there's no way would have gotten the Terminal List made without Chris Pratt saying, "I want to make this thing,"
Mm,
and having Antoine Fuqua jump on with a handshake with Pratt and saying, "I want to do this too. Let's do this together." There's no way that would have gotten made. Amazon was very concerned about a lot of things that we did in that show, but then it comes. But to their credit, they went with us. Even if they were nervous, even if there were
mm,
discussions, they ended up going with us. Kind of like a, well, we'll see. We're kind of invested at this point, but okay. And never without Chris Pratt would that have happened. They
yeah,
would
yeah.
have will for sure changed things. But with Chris in the lead, it was kind of like, oh, we'll trust you. We're very nervous, but we'll trust you. And then the numbers come in, and the numbers are something they will never share with us. But I've been in enough meetings now where those numbers were significant,
Yeah.
and we hit an audience that they had been unable to hit for a very long time for whatever reason. And we're not about, it's all about telling the story. That's what it is. It's about telling this story. It's throwback entertainment. We call it Cinevision. So we're trying to use a movie. We're trying to make television with television budget, but make it almost like a movie, as much like a movie as we possibly can. And we did it. They saw the numbers, and then they want more of it. So, and now there's all these other shows that I'm told were only greenlit because of the Terminal List numbers.
Mm.
And so it's pretty cool. But it's all due to Chris Pratt and Antoine wanting to do this, and then putting together an amazing team that allows us to make these shows. And because of those numbers, now there are way fewer discussions with Amazon. It's like, wow, you guys do what you do. So for Dark Wolf and for True Believer, now it is definitely different than the questions that we got with the Terminal List in that first season. So it's really cool to have more creative freedom as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of the savagery in season one. I'm like, damn, this is a pretty, this is aggressive for
Yeah.
for a first time screenwriter. This is aggressive. But
Yeah.
not that you would write it. I know you would write. You don't give a fuck. But I mean, it's aggressive for them to allow you to get away with that. To be honest, like that scene. There's a couple of scenes specifically. Obviously, the shootout, the EFPN shootout in San Francisco. It's like where he walks up the steps, clears his left and right, pulls a sidearm and just blasts homeboy right in the face. It's like uh, that's that's pretty much how it would go down. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't. People might not be ready to see shit like that. I think it's a bit of an issue sometimes. It kind of we saw this. I'm curious your thoughts. We saw this in the post or like the middle to late Vietnam era where people started seeing combat footage and the average American mind was not ready for that shit. It's like, oh, this is real. This is really how things happen. You know, you see the effects of war and stuff like that. And like somebody who's having their morning coffee just wasn't ready to see that shit. But now it's like it does lend a bit of authenticity to the story to see where in the final episode where the last guy lets him in to the SecDef's office and he just pops him anyways. It's like, well, yeah. So somebody asked me about that. He goes, "Why would you just kill that guy? He let you into the room." I'm like, "Because I'm not leaving a guy with a gun behind me. What do you mean? Like it's
Exactly.
called an LO. It's called
It's
an
so interesting that
LOA.
you hit on both of these things. I'll go back to
Yeah.
Vietnam in a second, but in the hallway. So yeah, going. I'm so glad you recognize that because in the edit, one of the final edits, he just walks past him and goes in, and I'm like, what? I had to have this email that said, I'm like, no, we have to hear this gunshot. He has to kill that guy,
Mm,
and so they went with it,
mm,
which was great. But yeah, you're right. So you have to notice all these things, and you have to be on it. So yeah, that was one, and I caught that one right at the end. And then you're right, coming up out of San Francisco, the EFP, which is the guys on set. So Ray Mendoza and the crew, Jared Shaw, Max. I mean, they essentially built an EFP for real.
mm.
And it was
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
I was seeing the pictures of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you
Yeah,
guys
I
are
was watching it.
essentially
He's like
really
hammering
building a
copper and stuff. I'm like, oh shit, this is
yeah. It was crazy. They like essentially really built one, and that was great. But then walking up, there was a discussion about it. Like, should he say something here? No. And Ray and Max and Jared, who were on set, are
Mm,
like, no. And he can't look like he's in like his usual Hollywood thing. He'd come up after killing all those other people. He'd go up and then he'd have a heart. You'd see like this in his eyes, something like, oh, I can't execute this innocent person or whatever, or unarmed person, I shouldn't say innocent. And instead, no, he walks up, boom, transitions, and pop
Yeah.
right away. No word, turned around, boom, reload, out. And so,
It,
but that
re-
was
it,
awesome.
remi- it reminds me of a quote from, I can't remember which book it was in now, but one of the quotes, or one of the characters said, I think it was, fuck, who was it? I can't remember who said it, but they were talking about, we don't just, this isn't like Hollywood. We shoot, like when we have an enemy, we shoot them down to the ground, right? Like we don't just stop shooting. I can't remember. I think it's in the first book actually.
I think it's the first book too. It
Yeah.
might be in a couple books, but yeah, shoot him into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
But
like that's something I've had to explain to people too. It's like just with whenever police get involved in some kind of shooting, and it's like, oh, they shot 65 times at the guy. I'm like, well, what do you do? Shoot and wait, shoot and then wait and see what happens, and let the guy like it's not a duel. You're not taking turns. You're trying to end the threat. Anyways, yeah, back to the Vietnam thing. Your
yeah,
thoughts on that?
yeah. Yeah, but also interesting that you there's some other scenes there, like the gutting scene.
Oh
Amazon was
yeah.
very nervous about that. They did not want Chris Pratt to gut someone on screen. We fought for it, we got it,
Well,
and it
that's an
ended
old
up being
Mayan thing, right? I
it's
think that's an
it
old
was a
Mayan.
few. It was some old like First Nation, Native
Yeah.
American type stuff, and
Yeah.
then yeah, Mayan, Aztec, all the way down. It was like essentially throughout all of the Americas
Mm.
at some point in time that was used. So I worked that in, but yeah, we fought for it, we got it. They let us keep it, and it ends up being on every billboard in LA the week the show comes out. Is Chris Pratt holding that tomahawk up to gut somebody? So, but yeah, going back to Vietnam. So my latest book is Cry Havoc, comes out
Mm.
October 7th, 1968, Vietnam, bloodiest year of the war, focuses on Mac V Sag, so guys going into Cambodia, Laos, North Vietnam. In this case of the book, it's into Laos. And did a ton of research for this one. Became the most researched book that I've ever done. And that's because I'm writing every single sentence through the lens of 1968.
This is a
I didn't want
novel. It's not
It's
like
a novel.
it's not like
Yeah.
targeted Beirut.
No,
It's
this is a novel.
okay.
This is Tom Reese, James
Oh
Reese's
yeah.
dad, fictional story, and I get to find out a few things: the tomahawk, where that came
Mm.
from, the Rolex watch, where that came from, some other things that he's passed on to James Reese in the contemporary thrillers, where that came from. And so yeah, this is a novel, but it's 1968 from January right into January of '69. So one full year in Vietnam through the eyes of Tom Reese, but also through the eyes of other characters.
Yeah.
So but that means that they only have their life experience up until 1968. I didn't want to just throw some Creedence Clearwater Revival on in the background, call it 1968, call
Mm.
it good, and essentially have a contemporary thriller just dropped into 1968. No, every single sentence had to be written through the lens of 1968 for every single character. Only their life experience up to that point could show their perspective on an event or a situation. So it ended up taking forever. But Vietnam was the first, they call it the first televised war.
Mm.
It's called the Helicopter War. So the Civil War, there are photographs of the Civil War. World War II, for the most part, people were getting news from newspapers that really were, for the most part, supportive of the war effort. And going to the movies and seeing a newsreel at a matinee on Saturday or Sunday where they could see essentially moving pictures from the front. But then we get into Korea and then we get into Vietnam. And now you're seeing it every night
Mm.
on television.
Yeah.
And that's different. And now we have a media that can actively influence ongoing operations. They can influence things strategically, not just report and or support, but now they can influence. And that is a distinct change. And I worked that into the novel as well. And I talked about what was fact and what was fiction when people get to the author's note at the end. But yeah, it was a distinct change from earlier wars, and certainly did have an impact on policy, specifically with Tet. The Tet Offensive and how that was framed by reporters there at the
Mm.
time for their own benefit, essentially.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. It's really interesting. But doing that research was insane. So that's why the book's coming out in October. Usually it comes out in May or June. But for me, I'm not just going to get to 115,000 words, try to wrap it up. I'm not going to come up against a deadline and just try to wrap it up.
Mm.
That product has to be the best that it can possibly be because, once again, people are trusting me with time. They're never going to get back, and that's a responsibility I take extremely seriously. So, Cry Havoc is a book that I am extremely proud of, and I think it's the best one yet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. The way you're describing it makes it feel or sound like Without Remorse, which is like written in the, I don't know when he wrote it, but it was published in '93 and set in Vietnam though, and he did a really good job of Clancy did a really good job of one. It's the backstory of John Kelly, John Clark, pseudonym John Clark, who's like, if you've seen the Sum of All Fears, Liev Schreiber played him, Willem Dafoe played him one time, and then I think there was a movie with Michael B. Jordan. He played him one time, actually called Without Remorse. I don't.
Yeah.
I saw it a couple years ago, but the
They
book
modernized it though. But
they
I
they
wish, man, if that book had come out, if that movie had come out in 1994,
yeah
95, like that would have been incredible.
yeah
Have Clancy involved.
mm,
John Milius was attached to a script at one point.
mm.
Of course, Conan the Barbarian, Red Dawn.
Apocalypse Now.
Imagine Clancy, John Milius script directed by Milius in the early mid 90s.
Milius wrote Apocalypse Now too, right?
Yeah, he
Or
was. I don't know if he's credited or not. We have to look, but he certainly was involved
yeah
in the writing of Apocalypse Now.
yeah. But I mean, just the book itself, Without Remorse. All the detail. It's one the verbiage is great, but and it was written in the early '90s, which is a little bit easier to write Vietnam back then because you were probably, I don't know how old Clancy was at that point, but he lived through that stuff, right? So he still had a organic sense of it. But just the detail, talking about Clark's the type of weapons, the car that he's in, and all this stuff, like it really brought me into the scene. So I'm looking. I mean, I know you're really good at this too, so I'm really looking forward to Cry Havoc. Just for
There's a book that should be coming your way. I signed it for you before I left on this trip, so
oh
it should
sweet,
be
thanks
heading
man.
your way, landing anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love these. Like I was saying before, these ones that are world building editions. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm gonna read Cry Havoc, and by itself, it's gonna be a great book. I'm sure of it. But it's also gonna make when I go back and read some of the other books again, which I always do this. Anytime another Reese book comes out, I go read all of them. I do the same thing with uh, Orphan X. So Greg Hurwitz is a good buddy of mine. I
Oh,
read all
nice.
of. He always sends me these stuff in advance, so I have to read it in a PDF like a poor person. But um, yeah, I always go back and at least hit the high notes from all the previous books because I like having all the information in my head. And he's getting into now some of the novellas that are kind of prequels that tell us like here's a unique part of this particular character and here's where it came from. You know what I mean? So I love when shit like that happens. So you're the Winkler tomahawk is going to get explained and the watch and all that stuff that it makes the original so much better to me.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, where the coffee, honey and the coffee comes
Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
James, like all that little things like that in there. There's a bunch of stuff like that.
You know what
But
it
yeah,
remind
Greg,
what
nice
my
guy.
favorite thing. Oh, sorry to cut you off. My favorite thing ever with that wasn't even because I hadn't read the books yet. Do you remember that? I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan, but that
I haven't watched it. It was those all came out when I was in a it was a very busy time, so I need to go watch them at some
yeah,
point.
there's this scene where there's like a big oafish character named Hodor, and I won't spoil it for you, but the reason he's called that gets explained at some point in like the fifth season, I think, and it's like I still get chills thinking about it, like the brilliance in writing over time, and I don't know if people honestly, this is the reason I brought that up is because I want to ask you did you plan for that? Was it a plan to go back and tell some of the more minute details, like expand those stories? Or is it just like, oh shit, I can actually write a novel or a novella about this and add richness to the original? How'd that go?
It was a plan from the beginning, and I think I
Mm,
got that from Stephen Hunter, who does
mm,
the Bob Lee Swagger
yeah, yeah,
series, Point of Impact.
yeah.
It was the movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg, TV
Mm.
show also in USA. But I
TV
think
show was
from
great too.
his influence and the Bob Lee Swagger and the Swagger like generations that he's written about, from the very beginning I planted seeds for other characters in the Reese family. So his father, Vietnam,
Mm,
his grandfather, World War II, and same thing with the Rafe Hastings. His father, Rhodesia, his
mm,
grandfather, also World War II between UK and Rhodesia. So I wanted to make sure that I planted seeds for interesting characters that would give me options going forward. I didn't want to get to like book 10 and say, oh, I think I want to go back and write a book about this guy's father or grandfather, having never mentioned them before in the previous 10 novels. So I wanted to make sure that I was seeding them in a way that was appropriate, but that would also spark people's interests so I could go back and do just this. So it was a plan from the very beginning if these novels took off to give me options going forward. And at some point, yeah, the short story, the novella, it's in my
Mm,
strategic plan. Just need to get a little more organized so I can start doing those and
mm,
explaining a few other stories, like one of them, Reese going across Siberia. In the book Savage Son, in the
mm.
outline, that's a huge part. And then I got to it and I'm like, oh, wow, this is another book. And it's
Yeah.
going to take people out of the story.
Yeah.
So instead, I write one chapter that's more poetic that
Mm,
talks about him going across Siberia, essentially, but in a very short time frame in the book, although it takes up like 3 or 6 months or something like that. But now I can go back and do a novella that tells the story of that journey.
mhm.
So it's in my list of things to do
Well, you
as
could
I
do. I
get
guess
more.
you could do that about Reese's little sailboat trip over to Africa as
Totally.
well, right?
Totally. That was something I thought about in the beginning as well. And something happens along the way and really dive in and make that its own
Mm.
novella. But yeah, just gotta get more organized and efficient with my time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look. There's never enough. There's never enough time. So season two is going to obviously it's not going to be word for word like the book, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff. Everybody, when we did that live show at Barnes and Noble a couple years ago,
Yeah.
already everybody was like, "Who's going to fucking play Rafe?"
Yeah.
Nonstop. I got questions about that all the time. Ask him who's going to play Rafe. I'm like, he doesn't fucking know yet, dude. They haven't cast that yet. But uh, so far, Dark Wolf, great. That dude was in Game of Thrones as well, by the
Yep.
way. He was in, I
Yep.
think
Was
just,
Umbrella Academy, Black
yeah,
Sails,
Black Sails. Yeah,
Tom
he's great.
Hopper,
Yeah,
such a good dude. I was
Hopper's
just
great. Yeah.
texting with him earlier today. Awesome guy.
He's
Rides
exactly what I
motorcycles.
expect from
Dude.
a fucking Rhodesian warrior. That's the dude that I'm seeing. It's kind of like a Dutch Viking, basically. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Worked on the accent to get a
Mm,
little bit of Rhodesia in there, but of
mm,
course you're getting Rhodesian accent essentially through parents, first in South Africa, then in
mm.
Montana. So it's a weird
Yeah, yeah,
mix
yeah.
of accents. But he crushed it. Oh my gosh! And the usually there's going to be some negativity in any post that you do, talking about the show or whatever
Mm,
else. Someone's going to have something bad to say, and for him, I have not seen anything bad about Tom Hopper's performance. It has 100% across the board. I'm sure somebody said something somewhere I didn't see, but I'm actually looking and almost, I mean, anything that I've seen, so 100% of the things that I've seen have been fully in support of Tom Hopper. We even got a little bit of the female audience, I think, with his swimming scene where he stands up after swimming. So my wife and all her friends are big fans of
yeah,
Tom Hopper now for
yeah,
some reason. I don't,
yeah.
must be the swim stroke or
Yeah, I think
something.
that's the only complaint really is that he's just too goddamn handsome. You know what I mean? But yeah, his portrayal of Rafe is great. So far, I mean, I can't imagine it's gonna change, but yeah, it was great. It was like the way that he's like some of the scenes that are throughout the books, like where he's hunting and gets within distance and then takes his boots off and sets them aside so he can do the creep, his last approach and stuff like that. But then the interaction between him and I mean they're brothers, right? And it's like there's it's you can tell from Hopper's portrayal of Rave, he's like a stoic guy on the surface, but you can tell there's a lot going on there, and like deeply loyal and patriotic. Not just about America necessarily, but like just about being a good man. It's really important to him, and you could see the internal conflict pop up a lot throughout Dark Wolf so far, and I'm sure it's going to happen in the later seasons of Terminalist as well. So I'm really looking forward to see how he develops that character. I mean, it's you can't go wrong with that guy apparently, which is great.
Yeah, he did such a great job,
Mm,
and we're all so tight now.
mm,
I don't know how this has happened. I mean, we do hire for it, we do cast for it to make sure you're not going to cast somebody that's going to be, yeah, maybe great on screen,
mm,
but poison on set because you're going to be with these people for about 7 months, multiple locations all around the world. We filmed this one in South Africa, and Morocco and Toronto, and you're living with these people for that long, and for whatever reason everyone has been just incredible and are so tight. Hangs out offset. We're all going to work out together, going to dinners together, going to bars together, hanging out. People going to each other's weddings. Like it is, and it's not just the cast; it's the crew as well, cast and crew. And we've just hired for good people who are at the top of their games, and everyone has gelled so well that it's like a family now. It's really
Mm.
crazy. And everybody comes up to me on set and just tells me this is not the norm in Hollywood. This is very different than any of the other 100 shows that I've worked on. This one feels like a family. And that's because Chris Pratt, David DiGilio, Antoine Fuqua at the very top, they take care of everybody because over 7 months, things are going to happen. Life happens. People are going to lose parents. People are going to get married. They're going to get divorced. They're going to have children. All these things are going to happen. And those guys make sure that we take care of that cast and crew. And they sense it. So they want to just come back and keep working on these shows. It's really, really special to see.
Yeah, I mean it's I, I have a lot of friends who have worked with Taylor over the years, and I guess with or for Antoine, and those two guys specifically. I mean, everybody knows Chris is a great dude because he's out in public doing great dude shit all the time. But Taylor, for a Canadian, especially, not that I would ever compliment a Canadian or anything, but no, he's like I only hear how fucking cool of a guy he is. I mean, it's always nice to hear that because again, you kind of alluded to it before, but there's so much more exposure to these people now, and it's a lot easier to find out who the asshole, they're just like talented people, but they're just assholes, and it's like that always takes something away for some people. A lot of people can separate the art and artist, and good for you, but it always is like it takes something away for me when I find
Yeah.
that out. And it's
Oh, it's,
back
yeah,
to
yeah.
another one of your points with all this exposure on people now that used to be at least to some degree because of, I mean, we're in a flat society now because of technology. You find out things immediately. Back in the day, a lot more insulated from stuff, but it's obvious that there is a huge market for this type of content, as you mentioned before, right? And it seems like Amazon and Netflix, others, HBO to some degree, anything that Taylor Sheridan works on, obviously, so Paramount too, have figured this out. Dude stuff is it never stopped being popular, by the way. It never stopped. They just stopped making it. So they figured it out. It seems like the big screen though hasn't figured it out yet. It's still
Yeah.
superhero stuff. Like what you mostly see on the big screen is nerdy guys overcoming stuff, right? Instead of like a dude that's on the gear, ripping phone books in half or whatever the hell stupid shit we were into. It's like that the audience for that literally never went away. And people say that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is a true statement. I also think entertainment should be downstream of culture. Like if you're a good content creator, I'm not saying you should go out of your way. You shouldn't get audience captured, right? You should make your organic content, the stuff that you feel great about, and make a good product. But the fact that you just couldn't get these types of products greenlit is stupid to me. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? There's never not been an audience for this ever since you and I have been born, and definitely before that, but definitely since you and I have been around.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's an underserved market, and when they saw those numbers for Terminal List, they could articulate that. They could see it on the spreadsheet essentially, and recognized and know this is underserved market, which is why we got a spinoff and another season, and why they want more. And so we'll see
Mm,
what happens from here. But yeah, just going back to Taylor for a second. What an awesome guy. Rides motorcycles, so
mm,
that's him in the show
mm,
for the most part, getting on and off that motorcycle. It's not someone else and then cut and then he gets in there and then like swings his leg over. Like no, he knows how to take the helmet
mm,
off, hit the key, boom. Like he knows how to work those, especially those BMWs. So awesome. Just an awesome guy, kind heart, cares so much about this performance, cares so much about the military community in general, and wants to get those details right for these guys that are watching the show. So just such a really special person.
mm,
And the whole cast, I mean, gosh, I mean, Dar, Tom, Shiraz, Rona Lee,
mm,
like just Luke Hemsworth, awesome dude. We were just tearing it down the other night in Morocco on his last night out there, and just what a great group of people. I feel so fortunate to be a part of this and to call these guys friends
mm,
and just really special. But yeah, that entertainment has never got that that audience is there. And you're right. It's never gone away. It's just underserved. And now they know it. They've seen it, and now we're going to get more of these shows. And hopefully we get a movie out of this. There's discussions about making one of the next books a film.
Mm,
So it's I mean, 7 months, 8 months is a long time for someone like Chris Pratt to devote to something,
yeah.
and to go all over the world, be away from your family, be an executive producer on it, which means that you are involved in all the pre-production and the post-production.
Mm.
That's a huge commitment, especially when you can go down and voice Garfield,
Yeah,
a half hour,
yeah, yeah,
or maybe from your house. You can
yeah.
probably do it at a studio in your
Mm,
house now. So that's a huge commitment. So we're looking at some options for feature films for at least one or two of the other books going forward. And we'll see. Things can go off the rails at any second. I just feel fortunate that we've done what we've done thus far, and that people want to do more. And
mm.
then will it happen? You never know.
Well, I think that
But
would be a big thing. I mean, you know, I was gonna say this already before you said that, but just another contribution from you and Chris and Antoine in that regard. It's like opening up it, when and if, I guess, but I would say probably when this film gets made, because Chris is gonna do it because he wants to do it. You can tell he loves playing this character. You can tell. Probably more than anything he's ever done, other than maybe Andy Dwyer, right? That must have been the most fun character ever to play, to be frank. But if by the way, if you get free time anytime, just go watch Parks and Rec Andy Dwyer outtakes.
oh, so good,
You can watch
so
that.
good,
I could watch that all day. Just that stuff. He's crazy.
so
But yeah, just
crazy.
like another contribution from you guys. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of other series and films made, especially when this film gets made and it's wildly popular, which it will be. So many writers and new actors and all this stuff, all the crew and everything are going to get series. We're all going to get a ton of great new content that's back in line with what we want, because you guys did the work and took the risk from Chris and Antoine's perspective to get this shit done. And it's fucking great, man. It's like, this is what we want. Just give me what I want. You know what I mean? Stop trying to convince me of anything. Just give me what I want.
Exactly. It's all got to be about the story.
Yeah.
And even for the books, I know there are authors out there that, try to grab the headlines, like what's next, grab, right, rip from the headlines, or, hey, what does the audience want? Hey, are long chapters or short chapters popular? I do zero of that.
Mm,
None. It's all about the story. And if I honor that story and put my heart and soul into that story without worrying about, am I going to alienate this audience or this person, or could I get canceled here, or what's popular? Zero, none of that at all. There are other authors that say that their readers are their bosses, and that is 100% not me. Because if you try to do that, I think you're just going to be grasping at straws, and you've lost sight of the story. And if you focus on that story, then you're honoring those people, those readers, those listeners who are going to spend this time from you. They're never getting back, and the best way to honor them is by creating the best story you possibly can without ever worrying about who you're going to alienate, what's popular, reading habits, any of those things. Has to focus on that story, and that's how you honor the reader. And I've been very lucky to have an amazing publisher who has gone with me and taken these risks with me as well. Specifically, True Believer.
mm,
I think many publishers and editors would have cut out probably the first third of that book, going across the Atlantic, getting to Mozambique, learning to live again, finding a new
mm,
purpose in life in Mozambique, taking those skills from Iraq and Afghanistan, applying them to this anti-poaching problem,
mm.
and then the story happens.
Yeah.
But I thought that was going to be so disingenuous if I just picked him up after the traumatic events of the Terminal List, dropped him into this new story. No, he has to go on this journey. He has,
Mm,
just like those of us leaving the military, or anybody making a transition in life, job, death of a loved one, whatever it might be. He has to find this new purpose, has to find this new mission, this new passion. And how does he do that? Well, he does that in Mozambique, putting these old skills to use. And then the CIA comes and drags him in
mm.
and throws him into this new story. But I think a lot of editors and publishers would have said, just do what you did last time, but drop it internationally or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they didn't. They allowed, and this time as well. Amazon, a little tiny bit nervous maybe about these first two episodes in True Believer, but I think they're going to work because once again, he has to deal with the traumatic events of the first season, and he gets to do that through this journey.
Yeah.
So it's cool, and we spent so much time in Africa filming that I don't think they're going to cut it at this point.
No, no, of course not. No. Yeah, I mean, I think that's if it goes anything like what I think it will, it'll also be a good opportunity for people that have had similar types of struggles. Like this is something that happened when the first season came out. People that know me as a dude that was in the military, which is like a lot of my friends, people that I've known for a long time, and people that I know now that are like, uh, they know me more on the media side and less on the military side. So they always have questions about this or that. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to answer that. When Terminal List season one came out, I mentioned it a couple of times before in specific things, but I got a lot of questions from people about, is this right? Is that right? Have you had an experience like that? And I'm hoping, like, one of the things that really excited me about Terminal List season two getting greenlit was that you're going to get to see that transition period for Reese to like go, like, I guess rebuild himself to some degree, right?
Yep.
Because
Oh yeah.
he's so his family's gone, and he just goes on, rampage for a while. But now he's got to sit in it, and that's a completely different thing that you and I have had to deal. Not we haven't lost our families, but we've had to go sit in it at some point. Every military guy's got to go sit in it at some point, and that shit's not fun. It's not easy, and the only way to climb out of it is to find purpose again. And it's easy to say that. It's a little bit more difficult to explain it to people what it actually means, the process, because I don't think you can skip the process. I don't think you can just have a purpose for a guy 2 days later and it's like, oh, I'm all good now. You have to go, you have to sit in it, you have to go through it, and it fucking sucks. And guys, we don't teach dudes to have the skills to do that kind of stuff, to be by themselves, right? That like that, and then wash it off and then reintegrate back into society. We don't do a very good job of that. I'm really looking forward to, especially if it's the first two episodes of this, getting into this with people that haven't experienced it and be like, yeah, that's what it looks like right there. So when you see your guy come back from home and he's acting this way, it's not because he doesn't love you anymore or he's broken or he's crazy. It's like, no, it takes a little bit of time, man. And this is what it looks like. And now that you know that, you can figure out some ways to support it or whatever, right? Or just be patient because, and I'm personally, I went through that myself, and a lot of us did. You probably did as well, because war's fucked up. But being able to see it on the screen, and while you're sitting next to your friend or your significant other, and then you can see lights going off in their head. You're like, oh shit, I'm starting to recognize some of this stuff. Is going to be very meaningful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. And once again, it's one of those risks that my publisher took with me, allowed me to do, and what Amazon is doing with us here. But I think also one of the reasons why the books have the numbers that they do in a time when reading is on a sharp decline and has been, really since the dawn of the internet, certainly a steeper decline since these phones ended up in our pockets with all these apps on
Mm,
them, and it continues to decline. But my numbers continue to go up. I think is because, well, for two reasons. One, James Reese is on a journey. And that's something that every single person on the planet has in common, meaning he's not just this person with a particular skill set that's dropped into this situation to save the world from a nuclear disaster here, and here from a bioweapon here, and here from an assassin here, or whatever. He's not the same person each book. He's on a journey. He's learning from past successes and failures, and then taking those lessons and applying them going forward as wisdom, which is hopefully what we're all doing in life. So I think whether people recognize it or not, that's a connection they have to the character and the story. And then the other thing I think that makes these things stand out is that the feelings and emotions are real. So I don't have to interview a sniper from Ramadi and have him give me answers to questions, and then those things get filtered through, let's say, movies that I've seen, books I've read, documentaries I've seen, preconceived notions I may have, other interviews I've done, and then gets turned around in my head and spit back out onto the page through these other filters. No, this is coming from directly from my heart and soul, what it felt like to do that. That's ending up in the pages of a completely fictional narrative, what it's like to get ambushed. That's coming out into the story, even though it's a completely fictional ambush, the feelings and emotions are real. So I think that is one of the or two of the things that have made the readership of these books go in the direction that they have at a time when less people are reading. Because even if you don't know that all those things came from my heart and soul, you can sense it as a reader. They feel real, and that's because
mm,
they come from a real place. So we try to do the same thing with the shows now, and because of what worked in the first season, and then maybe some things that didn't, we're focused on keeping those A storylines for the books, even if you have to because of these other constraints, switch some other things up, or because of world events like the invasion of Ukraine
Mm.
that actually happened, which I wrote about before it happened in True Believer. Even if some of those things are going to change because you're telling a story through a different medium, that a storyline remains the same. So that's what we're focused on for True Believer, and hopefully going forward from there.
Yeah. A storyline for people that don't know, there's an
Right.
A, B, and C typically in a well constructed book. The A is like the overarching theme. The B is like something that deals with the main character, and C might be a third character that you're developing or something like that. I mean, there's a million different ways to do that. I just, for terminology's sake, some people don't know what that means. I have this is a weird question, and it has nothing to do with any of this. The Department of War has announced today that they're updating the MRE. Hopefully, they're launching the veggie omelet into space, where that to never be seen again. I was talking to Greg about this yesterday, actually, because
So,
he's Greg's writing a scene about uh, uh, Evan Smoke's origin, part of his origin story, where he's going. I don't want to. I'm not going to give you any details, but one of the things mentioned in MRE, I'm like, I'm telling you, the worst MRE, and this opinions vary on this, but like I was telling this the stories, like from my perspective, the worst MRE is the fucking veggie. I tried to feed a veggie omelet to an Iraqi dog one time, and the dog looked at me like a disappointed father and walked away. And I'm like, "What the fuck? You want me to eat this? What the hell?"
yep, omelet's the worst. I agree with you. I don't think that's subjective. That's an objective viewpoint. You are 100% right.
Oh, it's
The
so
omelet
bad.
is the worst, no doubt.
So they're getting rid of the beef taco one, which is that one's new. I've never had that one.
I don't know that one either.
And pork sausage patty and jalapeno pepper jack beef patty, whatever the fuck that is. And they're
I don't remember.
adding a Cuban style beef picadillo, which is fine. Buffalo style chicken, which we've been asking for 30 years in the military.
Huh.
They're finally doing that one. And then like some other ones, but yeah, I just wanted to get your take on that. Now I'm definitely gonna go talk shit to Greg because I'm like, dude, it's the veggie omelet. I don't even know who that's for. I mean, I guess there are some vegetarians.
Disgusting,
Yeah.
so gross. But yeah, Greg is fantastic.
Mm,
He gave me an early blurb. Just
mm.
really love that guy, his work, incredible guy. But yeah, the MREs. But the big winner in MREs, I think, is Tabasco.
Oh
I
yeah.
think, and probably some of the other companies that make those other things in there, like the little napkin or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that company, whoever that person is, or that company is, that family probably
Mm.
is, that makes the little napkin. I think it was like wrapped in like a little green piece of paper,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
But those little things like that little mini Tabasco. When I came in the military, one of my goals, what I wanted to do was save every single little Tabasco and then make like a framed thing of it or like a
Yeah,
coffee table that had all of them, so I'd know how many I had. And that didn't happen like right away. As soon as I had the idea, I messed it up and
yeah.
didn't collect them. But the mini Tabascos in every single MRE, I wonder how big a part of that their business that is.
How much? Let's see. I wonder how many MREs get consumed every year, right?
And how many are stockpiled?
Or
Like
stockpiled?
even
Yeah, yeah. Because
yeah, and then
they're
how
like,
many
what are
are
they?
they 9 year?
5 year?
Are they a 9 year shelf life?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think
I
there was
think it's
some
9 years. Yeah.
something like that. But and then they got to be replenished. So they're probably on some sort of a cycle that just happens in budgets.
Mm,
And some people are probably just crushing it because you have to have them on standby. You got to have them there. You can't like make them when you need them. You have to have them already there. So
that's good.
I think a couple people have done very. Same thing with the batteries, the 5590 batteries.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like we built the radio around the battery because the battery was made in some congressman's like district
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that because they feel like there should. I mean, maybe they do now. I'm dated. I'm dated by a decade now,
Mm,
essentially, on all these things. But it seems like the 5590 was around for a long time and the radio remained the same size essentially from Vietnam up to our time in. Did more for us,
yeah, yeah,
obviously,
yeah, yeah.
but it was still run off the same battery. I feel
Mm.
like we could have made those things a little lighter
Yeah,
if they were made in
the PRC
congressman's.
148 still used it for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. There was almost all of them
yeah,
used it,
yeah.
and then the encryption device ones that you used to have to push together with the. So you had this another essentially another radio
Mm,
that I think took one 5590. Your main big green radio took the two, so now you have three on your back as a communicator,
mm.
duct taped together, rigor taped together with these coaxial cables that were plugged into it. It was just
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
But the 5590 was the big winner, and Tabasco, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I used well, I don't remember. Well, so we switched to those. What is it? A Harris 152, I think. At some point, we had
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
for just the guys. We still had
Consider, yeah.
the prick 148 was still back at base though. Those
Oh,
were all over the place. Yeah, we
yeah,
were
oh, the big green radio. Everywhere we went,
yeah.
we had the big green radio.
Yeah,
Two of
when I
them,
first
I
started, that's what I was using. Yeah. So when we did our pre-deployment workup, that's I was carrying around. I was the company RTO. The first part of the deployment sucked, um, but I was carrying two fucking PRC 148s everywhere I go, plus two additional spare batteries for both of them. It's like, all right, cool, man. You got anything else you want me to carry? What the fuck are we doing here? Like I'm looking at I had a smartphone at the time. Smartphones had come out, and I'm like,
uh,
we can do this, but I'm still carrying all that. What the fuck is the point of this shit? But yeah, somebody was making money. That's the answer to that for sure, right?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I'm surprised they didn't give you the pig. I think probably they didn't give you the A dub right off the bat. You
No,
seem
they
like
were our
you just go down
JTACs
the
were using
line,
it.
boom, A dub.
Yeah, our JTACs were using it. We it gave me two 148s. Yeah, yeah. Certainly 100% somebody was getting paid. That's how it always is, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah.
so.
Well, look, we got to wrap this up because we got other shows to do. Um, Dark Wolf is crushing it. There's another episode. What is it? Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, Wednesday coming out, I guess at midnight, in the
Mm,
changeover from Tuesday to Wednesday, it should drop when it's midnight somewhere.
mm,
But yeah, last one, final
yeah.
episode. I wrote that one with the showrunner David DiGilio,
Mm.
so that one brings it home. And
I watched the first two episodes, and I was like, "This is really good." I'm waiting for the rest so I can binge watch them all at once.
oh, nice, nice, because
So
they get better from there. I think
yeah,
the
that's what everybody keeps telling me. I'm like, "Fucking," that's what I thought was coming. Like these are world building things, and now it's gonna get crazy. So the last couple episodes, I'm gonna watch them all. Probably, I might watch them all Wednesday night, to be honest.
Nice. Yeah, they
Yeah.
ramp. They definitely ramp up, and obviously you saw that it switches from a military thriller into an espionage type
Mm,
thriller. Visually changed. We wanted to make sure it was visually different than The Terminalist. This is Taylor's show,
mm.
focus on Ben Edwards, of course. But yeah, yeah, binging is. I mean, they wouldn't drop. I think they don't drop them all at once now. The model's changing so that people can't
Yeah.
sign up, watch them all, and
Mm,
then choose their free trial. I think. I'm
yeah.
not positive,
Yeah.
but now the new model is dropping one a week or dropping a couple at the beginning and then one a week. But yeah, they'll all be out this Wednesday and available to binge. So yeah, fired up, man.
Yeah, I'm
Fired
looking
up.
forward to it. Yeah, and by the way, Dar Salim is great.
So good.
You may remember him from if you haven't seen Dark Wolf yet, he was in The Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal. Um, Never heard of this guy until The
He's
Covenant.
awesome.
He's a great actor. Where the fuck did he come from?
Fantastic. He's
Yeah.
so fantastic.
Oh.
Yeah, lives in Denmark and
Mm.
dear friend now. We spent a lot of time together. So yeah, there's more of him to come in True Believer. So
Mm. Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay,
such a good dude. Yeah,
great.
yeah. So he'll be in there.
Definitely looking forward to it. Well, Amazon, just search Jack Carr's name. You can find everything. You don't. It's a super easy name to spell. You probably did that on purpose. It's Jack and then Carr with two R's. You can find all of his
Yep.
stuff.
Jackcar.com is the
Yep.
websites, and
Lots
that's
of
kind of like the
books.
hub. And then there's the socials, and then Cry Havoc coming out here October 7th. But one thing I get to do, you like this? I get to kick it off the book tour on October 5th, so a couple of days before
Mm.
the book drops, and people will get it on October 5th at this event. But I'm doing it with David Morrell, who wrote Rambo back in
Oh shit.
1972, and also wrote a series of books that I loved and were hugely influential on me in the 80s. Brotherhood of the Rose,
Mm.
Fraternity of the Stone, League of Night and Fog, just incredible guys. So we're kicking it off together in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a huge honor for me. And I dedicate this book to him as well as the McAfee Saug warriors who went across the fence into Cambodia,
Mm.
Laos, and North Vietnam in Vietnam War, and everyone who fought actually in Vietnam from the mid 50s to the mid 70s. But we get to kick it off together, which is just incredible.
That's
So
great.
kicking it off with David Morrell in Scottsdale on October 5th, and then the book drops on the 7th. So coming up here pretty quick.
Hell yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it. Can't wait. Cry Havoc. It's on the. You can go find it on the site. You can find everything on the site. JackCarr.com. Check out Dark Wolf on Prime, and keep your ears peeled for the release date for Terminalist Season 2. Thanks for coming today, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you keep your eyes peeled, you might see me in episode 4 in a tunnel sequence, and then maybe in the last episode 7 near the end. So you might recognize
Your
me
goal
if
should
you
be to get murdered in every single season of the show, I think, right?
I think so. I think that's the way ahead. That's the path.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming today, buddy. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Great seeing you. You take care, okay?
Yes, sir. And thank you all for watching. This has been Citizen.